Chapter 51. Then, in the second round of the semi-final, Lin Mo will play against Son Goku. After the audience's shouts subsided, the host shouted loudly. Since what they learned just now and Vegeta can bring them a fierce and passionate match, then the next match will not be too inferior, right? After the host's voice fell, Lin Mo and Son Goku jumped up and landed on the ring. Hey, it's really exciting to finally be able to fight with you. Son Goku was gearing up, looked at Lin Mo excitedly and said. Ever since he knew of Lin Mo's existence from Gohan, he has always wanted to fight and compete with Lin Mo. But Lin Mo never showed up, so no chance. Now I can finally have a good fight with them. Are you excited? You may not be excited after a while. Lin Mo smiled and said lightly. Now that the two players are ready, the game will begin. After the host's voice fell, Son Goku instantly turned into Super Saiyan. The golden hair stood up high, and the aura increased dozens of times. Are you sure you don't need to become Super Saiyan 3? Lin Mo looked at Son Goku and asked in surprise. This guy looks down on himself too much. Although I know you are very powerful, I will not use all my strength until I truly see it. Son Goku smiled and said. What a bad habit. Lin Mo shook his head and said lightly. This kind of mentality is nothing in this kind of game. But if you have this kind of tentative mentality in a life and death battle, you will suffer a lot. Because not everyone gives you time to test and prepare. It is not without reason that a lion fights a rabbit with all its strength. Then I attack. After Son Goku's voice fell, he couldn't wait to attack Lin Mo. The speed was very fast, and in the eyes of those audiences, Son Goku's body completely disappeared in an instant. But in Lin Mo's view, the speed is very slow, it can be said to be, almost like a snail. Call out. The next second, Lin Mo suddenly appeared in front of Son Goku. So fast. Son Goku's pupil shrank, and a look of horror appeared in his eyes. I didn't see how Lin Mo suddenly appeared in front of me just now. Boom. In the next second, Lin Mo's fist landed heavily on Son Goku's mouth. Under that terrifying force, Son Goku's body was directly shaken back, and his feet brushed the ground and retreated a distance of more than 10 feet. Almost fell off the ring. Wow, Kaka, it's so dangerous. You guys are too serious, aren't you? Son Goku stabilized his body, rubbed his chest, looked at Lin Mo with some complaints and said. If I'm serious, I can kill you in an instant. It's very stupid to save strength before you have no strength. Lin Mo said to Son Goku calmly. With such a carefree personality, if it weren't for the halo of the protagonist, he would have been killed countless times already. If that's the case, then I'll do my best. Son Goku straightened his face, clenched his fists and opened his posture. Then it directly became Super Saiyan 3. At that moment just now, he understood the gap between himself and Lin Mo. This is all my power. The power of Super Saiyan 3 is very powerful, but don't worry, I will control my power. After becoming Super Saiyan 3, Son Goku looks more mature and stern. You don't need to control your strength, otherwise you may lose badly. Lin Mo shook his head lightly and said. I now want to beat Son Goku of Super Saiyan 3, very easily. Almost instantly. Is it? Then I'm going to attack again. After Son Goku finished speaking, he rushed towards Lin Mo again. After becoming Super Saiyan 3, Son Goku's speed has obviously changed qualitatively from before, and he appeared in front of Lin Mo almost instantly. He punched Lin Mo directly. It can be seen that Son Goku did not hold back this time, but went all out. Just when Son Goku's fist was only a few centimeters away from Lin Mo's face, Son Goku flew upside down as if he had been hit hard. The body hit the ground heavily. Twitter. Son Goku hugged his brow with a pained look on his face. But he was extremely terrified in his heart, because he didn't see Lin Mo punching him, and he flew out. Hey kid, do you see clearly? Vegeta looked at Son Gohan and asked. No, I didn't see any movement from the teacher at all. Son Gohan shook his head, he didn't see anything clearly just now, Dad flew out. It seems that the teacher's strength has reached a level beyond their imagination. Chapter 52. You guys are too powerful. I didn't see clearly the action just now, as if you didn't make a move at all just now. After Son Goku rubbed his eyebrows, he looked at Lin Mo in surprise and said. Although I already knew that Lin Mo might be very powerful, but the attack just now completely exceeded my cognition. How can I fight when I can't even see other people's attacks clearly? How about it, if you admit defeat now, you can get beaten less. Lin Mo smiled and said to Sun Gohan. Ah, although I can't see your attack clearly, I won't admit defeat so easily. Once I have it, I will see your attack route clearly. Son Goku squeezed his fist and said with a smile. Giving up 2 words is not in line with his character. If you want to be beaten, then I will fulfill you. Now that I have encountered such a person who likes to be abused, if I don't abuse him well, I will feel sorry for myself even if I don't say sorry to him. Then Son Goku launched an attack again, the speed of the fist increased a bit, call out. Lin Mo's body suddenly appeared behind Son Goku. See clearly, behind. Son Goku was overjoyed, because this time he saw Lin Mo's movement clearly. Then without any hesitation, he kicked directly behind him. Boom! In the next second, Son Goku's body flew upside down again and landed heavily on the ground. And this time, Son Goku was still attacked between the eyebrows. How is it possible? I clearly saw him appearing behind me. Son Goku looked at Lin Mo in disbelief. The moment he was clearly attacking, he moved behind him. But why was it between the eyebrows that he was attacked again? And this time, although I vaguely saw Lin Mo's movement, just like last time, I couldn't see his attack at all. It's like Lin Mo never made a move from the beginning to the end. Did you see clearly this time? Frowning tightly, Vegeta asked Son Gohan. Because he didn't see anything clearly just now, just for a moment, Kakarot flew out after rushing over. The teacher's body moved just now and appeared behind Dad, but when he attacked, his body suddenly disappeared, and he couldn't see clearly at all. And after the attack, it reappeared in the original position, as if it didn't make a move from the beginning to the end. Son Gohan narrowed his eyes slightly, looked at Lin Mo and said. In the movement just now, I just saw a phantom. Of course, Son Gohan and Vegeta couldn't see clearly, and the rest of the audience were naturally dumbfounded. Some people think it is very magical, but some viewers feel that this is Son Goku acting alone. I will definitely find out the root of your attack, come again. Son Goku stood up again and attacked Lin Mo. The result was still the same as before, Son Goku flew upside down again. After a full 10 minutes, Son Goku couldn't even change Super Saiyan. The attack and injury just now had consumed all of his energy. Boom! Lin Mo kicked Son Goku in the face and sent Son Goku out of the ring. Out of bounds, player Son Goku is out of bounds, the second round of the semi-final, the winner is Lin Mo's player. The host looked at Lin Mo in surprise, and announced loudly. He doesn't know Lin Mo, but he knows Son Goku. That kid has performed very well since he was very young, and he even defeated Piccolo Daimao in the arena of the #1 Budokai in the world. I didn't expect to lose today. Lord Supreme Kai, that earthling seems to be the most powerful. Jebit looked at Lin Mo on the ring, and then said to Supreme Kaio-ken. Well, he is indeed very powerful, and there is no trace of the attack just now. Supreme Kaio-ken nodded and said. Even Master Supreme Kai, can't you see his movements clearly? Jebit asked in shock. Supreme Kai, but now the most cutting-edge existence in this universe. Sorry, both of them are going too fast, I can't keep up at all. Supreme Kaio-ken said with a look of embarrassment. However, he secretly rejoiced in his heart that with such a strong human being, maybe Majin Buu has nothing to worry about. Next, the finals of the world's #1 martial arts association will be held. Contestant Lin Mo vs Son Gohan. The moment the host's voice fell, Son Gohan jumped and appeared directly on the ring. Although I know I'm not the teacher's opponent, I still want to try how big the gap is between me and the teacher. Son Gohan said to Lin Mo very respectfully. The sound was loud and generous, enough for all the audience on the field, as well as Satan in the VIP lounge to hear clearly. Chapter 53. Is that guy actually the teacher of player Son Gohan? No wonder he is so good, even Son Goku has been defeated. Other viewers may not be very clear, but the host remembers clearly that Son Gohan was the last champion, although he lost to Mr. Satan in the end. Of course, it is not known if there is any trick in it. But just with this status, the champion of the world's #1 martial arts association should be more than enough. Nani? He turned out to be Son Gohan's teacher. It's over, it's really over now, I'm going to lose. In the VIP lounge, Satan panicked at this moment, not knowing how to deal with the next situation. Just tell them that I suddenly have a stomachache and cannot participate in this challenge. Yes, just say that. But, this excuse seems to have been used many times. Satan was talking to himself alone, thinking about how to find a suitable reason to withdraw this challenge. Now he doesn't care about his title anymore, but his own life. Those guys will really kill themselves. On the ring, Son Gohan is ready to go. Offended, teacher. After Son Gohan's voice fell, he instantly turned into Super Saiyan 3, because he knew very well that if he wanted to fight against the teacher, he had to show his full strength. It almost became, at the moment of Super Saiyan 3, Son Gohan's body shot out like an arrow from the string. The speed is very fast, even better than Son Goku. SHHHHHHH. In an instant, Son Gohan shook his fist 7 or 8 times, but Lin Mo easily dodged each time. What a speed! Son Gohan was very shocked. He had already brought the speed of Super Saiyan 3 to the extreme, but in front of the teacher, he turned out to be like a child. Teacher, please launch an attack and let me feel your power. Son Gohan frowned tightly, and said to Lin Mo. He wanted to see how big the gap between himself and the teacher was. It is good. Lin Mo directly nodded in agreement. After nodding, he punched Son Gohan's fist. Boom! The moment the two punches collided, they separated and Son Gohan's feet brushed the ground and retreated a distance of several tens of feet. Obviously, Lin Mo's power control was very good, and Son Gohan did not fall directly into the ring. With just one collision, his entire arm was completely numb and lost consciousness. And he felt that the teacher didn't use all his strength at all, otherwise his arm might be broken. I only used 2 points of strength just now. Looking at Son Gohan's dignified face, Lin Mo replied. In fact, I am also lying now, because of the collision just now, I didn't even use 2 points of my strength. It's just that I don't want Son Gohan to feel that the gap between them is too big. Just 2 points of strength shocked me back. Has the teacher's strength reached this level? Son Gohan frowned, thinking in his mind. Maybe, the teacher is simply lying to himself, he is actually not trying hard at all. In this case, the desire to fight is gone. Teacher, please let me experience the ability you used to attack my father just now. Son Gohan suddenly looked at Lin Mo and said firmly. He wanted to try the attack his father suffered just now, and see if he could see some clues from the actual combat. You mean flash time skill, right? Lin Mo didn't hide anything from Son Gohan, his big apprentice. Flash time skill? Well, it should be. Son Gohan nodded and said. Of course, he didn't know what Shishigong was, but since the teacher said it was Shishigong, then it must be Shishigong. Okay, but this time, I might attack with 3-point power. Lin Mo also said with a serious face. The power of 3 points, I don't know if Son Gohan can bear it. Well, teacher, just attack. Son Gohan nodded, then put on a defensive stance. Looking at Son Gohan who was observing him seriously, Lin Mo shook his head slightly. Then the body flashed out. It's so fast, but you can still see clearly. The moment Lin Mo flashed, Son Gohan just saw a blurry black shadow, but he could barely see it. On the right. Son Gohan turned around suddenly and punched out to the right. Swish! The fist tore the afterimage of Lin Mo. At the same moment, Lin Mo's fist landed heavily on Son Gohan's chest. Boom! After being hit hard, Son Gohan instantly returned to normal, lost consciousness, and fell to the ground. Gohan! Son Goku quickly flew over from the auditorium and picked up Son Gohan. Don't worry, my strikes are serious, feed him this fairy bean. After speaking, Lin Mo threw a fairy bean to Son Goku, and returned to the auditorium beside Videl. Chapter 54. Son Gohan went out of bounds in a coma, and this time the champion of the world's #1 Budokai is Lin Mo. After being stunned for more than 10 seconds, the host roared out excitedly. This year's #1 martial arts association in the world is really like a fight between gods, and it makes people excited to see it. Of course, some people felt that after reaching the finals, the other three were just acting with Lin Mo. At this time, Videl opened his mouth wide, with a look of horror on his face. My jaw almost dropped to the floor. You actually defeated Son Gohan. Videl swallowed hard, looked at Lin Mo and asked in disbelief. He is my apprentice, are you surprised that I defeated him? Lin Mo smiled and asked casually. Oh yes, Son Gohan seems to have called you teacher from the beginning. Only then did Videl remember Sun Gohan's respect for Lin Mo. At that time, I really didn't care much about the title. I'm going to compete with your father in a while, and your father may lose. Lin Mo looked at Videl and said. What? My dad will lose. Although you defeated Sun Gohan, my father also defeated Sun Gohan 3 years ago, so you may not be my father's opponent. Videl shook his head and spoke. Is it? Then just wait and see. After Lin Mo finished speaking, he fell directly onto the ring. Excuse me, contestant Lin Mo, do you choose to challenge Mr. Satan? If the challenge is successful, you will get an additional 100 million bonus from Mr. Satan. Of course, you can also choose to give up. After all, Mr. Satan is very powerful, and there is nothing wrong with giving up. The host spoke to Lin Mo on the ring. Why did you give up? Of course I want an extra bonus of 100 million, and I want to experience the strength of Mr. Satan. Lin Mo shrugged, with a slight smile on his face, and said lightly. If that's the case, we'll call Mr. Satan out immediately. The host seemed a little hesitant, after all, Satan's strength. Hey, I'm just a host, so I can't control that much anymore. Satan! 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 At this time, the auditorium of the venue was already filled with shouts like mountains and seas. All the same, Satan can come out and see his style. What's the matter with Lin Mo? Why would he want to challenge Satan? That guy looks like a big pustule. Above the auditorium, Son Goku muttered in confusion. Although Satan's current achievements are due to the hard work of people like himself, but they don't want to care about these things. So I didn't think much about fighting this kind of person in the past. Maybe, the teacher just wants to have fun. Son Gohan guessed. Because the character of the teacher is really hard to guess. TCH, it's really boring to fight with that kind of guy. After Vegeta finished speaking, he turned around and left. Hey, what are you talking about? Are you underestimating my father so much? Videl on the side heard this and asked with a dark face. Anyway, Dad is also the #1 fighting champion in the world. No matter how you listen to the tone of these people, he is like a pustule that cannot be easily attacked. After waiting for more than 10 minutes, Satan was reluctantly carried out from the VIP lounge. Of course, Satan's opening naturally started with breaking tiles with his bare hands. There are 20 pieces in total, 20 pieces were broken, and the remaining one is 6 pieces more than the cell period, which is a lot of progress. Satan! Satan! The audience, who were shocked by Satan's astonishing unarmed smashing of tiles, instantly heard an overwhelming cry. Ahaha! Satan crossed his hips and laughed wildly at the auditorium. A black line flashed across Lin Mo's forehead. Hey, it's just chopping a few tiles. Are you so excited? Then he asked Satan coldly. Then, Lin Mo tapped the ground lightly with his right foot, and a huge gap appeared in the middle of the ring. What? What? Seeing this scene, Satan and the audience looked at Lin Mo in shock. Although their IQs are a bit low, they are definitely not stupid. This method is much more powerful than Satan's barehanded splitting of tiles. Come on! Mr. Satan, let me see the strength of your world's #1 fighting champion. Lin Mo tilted his head and said to Satan. Can we discuss it? Satan whispered to Lin Mo. Hope Lin Mo can be moved by money like Son Gohan. To be honest, I don't like you very much after watching 7 Dragon Balls and you took the credit of Z Fighter in Chapter Cell. Now that I have this opportunity, I naturally want to punish you. Lin Mo said coldly to Satan. What? How do you know? Satan was startled. No one should know about him except those yellow-haired guys and his accomplices. But come to think of it, Son Gohan is his apprentice. Okay, how to climb the altar, let me know how to fall. After Lin Mo's cold voice fell, he walked towards Satan step by step. Chapter 55. Wait a minute, I can give you money, a lot of money, and even accept you as a disciple. Satan quickly waved his hand towards Lin Mo, and said with a terrified expression. He still holds the last hope in his heart. If you can use money to keep your reputation and honor, you are willing to spend as much money as you want. Student? Are you kidding me? Lin Mo suddenly smiled and appeared in front of Satan. Wouldn't it be better to beat you in front of all the audience? You will have to pay it back sooner or later. When you are pretending to be a savior and disregarding the lives of those soldiers who are really risking their lives to save the earth, you should have this kind of awareness. A lie will always be exposed. Lin Mo had a cold smile on his face, and then pressed his right hand tightly against Satan's chest. When I was watching Dragon Balls, I really hated Satan, thinking that if I was someone like Son Goku, I wish I could slap him to death. As an ordinary person on Earth, it's okay to be unable to deal with such a powerful enemy as Cell, but when someone else takes all the credit for defeating Cell, the corners of his mouth are really unbearable. More importantly, maybe he has a heart of guilt, but he has no intention of repenting. Son Goku and the others don't want to care about it, but they don't have that kind of heart. Don't, listen to me. Satan still struggled to his deathbed, but with a slight force from Lin Mo's palm, Satan flew out in an instant. Boom! Then it was directly inlaid on the edge of the auditorium. In an instant, the thousands of spectators in Nyoda's venue were completely silent. Mr. Satan was defeated. No. Impossible, Mr. Satan is the world's #1 fighting champion, how could he be defeated? It was, easily defeated by that boy. It turns out that Satan is so weak, he has been lying to us. I don't know who made the sound first, and then everyone started a heated discussion. The whole venue immediately started chirping, and it was hard to believe that Satan, the godlike man in their hearts, was defeated so easily. Looking at the disbelieving and disappointed faces in the auditorium, Lin Mo didn't have any mood swings. Because these people are so ignorant that the real savior is buried. Like Son Goku, they still need to work to make money, but they regard an opportunistic leaker as the savior. Enjoy all the glory and wealth, be successful and famous. What a stupid bunch of people. Satan is their belief, but Lin Mo has no sympathy for these idiots who regard Satan as their belief. Out of bounds, Mr. Satan has been defeated. The new world #1 fighting champion has come out, and that is our Mr. Lin Mo. When the host yelled loudly, he found that Lin Mo had disappeared into the ring. And there was no sign of Lin Mo in the auditorium. You defeated my father and are now the world champion, why don't you enjoy this glory? Over the Budokai, Videl looked at Lin Mo and asked. Although Videl was a little scared floating in the center of the sky so high, it seemed that Lin Mo felt extremely safe by his side. This kind of glory is not to my liking. Lin Mo shook his head and said. If it was in the previous life, being able to become the savior admired by hundreds of millions of people would indeed make me wake up with a smile in my dreams. But now that my strength is stronger, the pattern and that kind of pursuit are naturally different. I beat your father and made him look ugly in front of so many people, are you angry? Lin Mo looked at Videl and asked. Although I feel that my father is a little pitiful, but it's all his own fault. Ever since he won the title of the world's #1 fighting champion, he has never trained. This time, let's take it as a lesson. Videl looked at Satan who was being carried on the stretcher below, with complicated eyes. Seeing my father fall from the altar, I naturally felt very uncomfortable. It's just that my father is too lazy recently and doesn't practice at all. I hope this lesson can be used as a warning for him to practice hard in the future. I really didn't expect that Satan would have such a sensible daughter. Lin Mo said in a low voice. What did you say? I heard Lin Mo's muttering, but couldn't hear it clearly. It's nothing, I hope he will practice hard in the future. Lin Mo smiled and said. By the way, didn't you join the world's #1 martial arts association for a bonus of 100 million? You took the opportunity to slip away now, what about the bonus? Videl asked suddenly. It's okay, I've already told Gohan to exchange all the prize money for food, I'm going to travel far away. Lin Mo said. He told Gohan about it when he was playing against Son Gohan. Ah? Travel, where are you going to travel? Videl asked curiously. If Lin Mo goes on a trip, wouldn't I be unable to follow him to learn how to control Qi? It may be other planets, or it may be other universes. Lin Mo said calmly. Afterwards, it was as simple as eating and drinking for him. What? You just said that you are going to travel to other planets and universes. Videl's eyes widened in shock, and he looked at Lin Mo in disbelief. This guy is really talking nonsense. That's all for other planets, after all, there are high-tech products such as universe spacecraft. But what is the concept of traveling in the universe? Chapter 56. Yeah, what's the problem? Lin Mo turned his head, looked at Videl and said. There is no problem, but if you leave, won't I be unable to learn how to control Qi? There was a sly look in Videl's eyes, and then he continued, how about, you take me with you? I also want to travel in the universe, and if that's the case, you can also teach me how to control chi, right? Videl blinked her big eyes, looked at Lin Mo and said. You sure? Although I went on a trip, the universe is very dangerous, and there are some strong people in other universes, even if I am myself, I am not necessarily their opponent. Lin Mo said to Videl seriously. What he said is true, although his current A-level strength is comparable to Super Saiyan God. But you must know that in other universes, there are many people who are more powerful than Super Saiyan God, such as Hitt of the 6th universe. Jiren from the 11th universe, as well as the gods of destruction from each universe, are all stronger than themselves, so the risk of going to other universes is quite high. Sure. I like exciting life the most. And I really want to see the season outside. Videl said excitedly, very firm. Okay then. I promise to take you on a trip. Lin Mo simply nodded. Although a person is more free and has no worries, but who doesn't want to bring a big beauty with him when traveling? At least it can help you warm yourself up, relieve boredom or something, really. Did you really agree? Seeing Lin Mo agreeing so simply, Videl was a little flattered. Yes, I agree. Well, I'll go and see my dad first. By the way, when are we going to leave? Videl asked excitedly. Tomorrow morning. Okay, then tomorrow morning, you come to pick me up. After Lin Mo nodded, he put Videl down. Then he appeared in mid-air again. Mr. Lin Mo, hello. At this moment, a more respectful voice sounded from behind. You don't need to ask to know who it is. Is there anything you can do for me? Master Supreme Kai. Lin Mo turned his head slowly, and saw the figures of Supreme Kaio-ken and Jebit. You actually know my identity. Supreme Kaio-ken looked at Lin Mo with some surprise and asked. I have never been to this planet, how does the Lin Mo in front of me know himself? Of course, this universe is at the forefront of God, how could I not recognize it? Lin Mo said lightly. There is another kind, the most useless God did not say it, after all, it is too hurtful to say so. It seems that Mr. Lin Mo is really not an ordinary person. We really want to ask you for something this time. Supreme Kai's posture is very low. Of course, he is very clear that even though he is the most cutting-edge god in this universe, in Lin Mo's eyes, he is not worth mentioning. He can easily kill himself. No time to. Lin Mo directly gave a very short 3 words. Supreme Kai's request is nothing more than letting himself deal with Majin Buu. But I have more important things now. Naturally, I don't want to take the opportunity to rubbish like Majin Buu. You. Supreme Kai hasn't finished speaking, and you just refused, isn't it a bit too much? Seeing Lin Mo's arrogant appearance, before Supreme Kaio-ken spoke, Jebit couldn't stand it anymore. I didn't expect a mortal to be so arrogant. Don't think that God is qualified to talk to me like this. I'm going to destroy you. It's easier than drinking water and eating. Lin Mo narrowed his eyes slightly, looked at Jebit and said. The so-called gods who don't appear when the earth is in crisis, but come to ask for help when they encounter difficulties. I really don't have much affection for myself. Especially Supreme Kaio-ken, he was so useless, he was almost scared to pee by Majin Buu. During the Tournament of Power, compared to the Supreme Kai of other universes, it was simply inferior. Looking at Lin Mo's cold gaze, Jebiter felt a chill in his heart, and his body trembled subconsciously. In an instant, he actually felt the breath of death. I'm sorry Mr. Lin Mo, please forgive Jebit for being rude just now. It's like this. There is a very terrifying guy on the earth who is about to wake up. With the strength of the two of us alone, I'm afraid we can't compete with him. Just now I saw that Mr. Lin Mo's strength is really strong, so I hope Mr. Lin Mo will help, not only for us, but also for the entire Earth and universe. Supreme Kaio-ken asked sincerely. For the stability of the universe, in order not to feel that hopeless feeling again, he must not revive Majin Buu. I said I don't have time, and I don't want to be a hero. It's just a Majin Buu, my apprentice is enough to deal with it. After Lin Mo finished speaking, he pointed to Sun Gohan. How do you know about Majin Cloth? When Supreme Kaio-ken was about to speak again, Lin Mo had disappeared. Chapter 57. Where did he go? Jebiter looked around, but he couldn't see him at all, and couldn't feel his breath anymore. Forget it, it seems that he doesn't want to get involved with Majin Buu's matter. Since he said that Son Gohan can also solve this matter, then let's go to Son Gohan. Supreme Kaio-ken looked at Son Gohan, who had not left the venue, and said, "Although I am Supreme Kai, that guy Lin Mo can't afford to offend me." Early the next morning. "Teacher, take care of yourself." Son Gohan exchanged all Lin Mo's prize money for this championship with food, and then borrowed some capsules from Bulma, and put them in the capsules. He also knew very well that he couldn't keep the teacher. "Well, take care of yourself too. Also, although your strength is very strong now, don't be too proud, don't you understand?" Lin Mo patted Son Gohan on the shoulder, and reminded Son Gohan seriously. "Well, I made a note." Son Gohan nodded and answered. At this time, Vegeta also came over. "It's really rare, you also come to see me off." Lin Mo looked at Vegeta and said. In fact, although they say they are Vegeta's teacher, they both have their own plans. Lin Mo needs to use Vegeta to break through the A level, and Vegeta needs Lin Mo to help him upgrade to Super Saiyan 3. So this kind of bondage of interests is naturally a bit different from what Son Gohan taught since childhood. "Anyway, you also helped me successfully become Super Saiyan 3, the titular teacher." Vegeta was a little embarrassed to speak, and said through gritted teeth. After speaking, he directly handed a capsule to Lin Mo. "There's a lot of food here, and I know you don't lack other things." At this time, Vegeta, although still proud and self-respecting, already has the feelings of Earthlings. "Okay, next time I see you, I hope you've become Super Saiyan 4, or Super Saiyan God." Lin Mo took the capsule and disappeared in front of Vegeta and Son Gohan. Then directly took Videl and left the Earth. "Lin Mo, where are we going now?" Videl looked at Lin Mo excitedly and asked. "Right now. Let's go to a deserted planet, where there is the person I'm looking for." Lin Mo answered. "That's right, the next place I'm going to is a place called Wampa Planet. There is a scion named Broly. His cultivation talent and cultivation speed are absolutely top-notch in Dragon Ball. If Son Gohan's cultivation talent is at the S level, then Broly is definitely at the SSS level. I remember that in the theatrical version of Dragon Ball Super Broly, he was rubbed on the ground by the normal Vegeta from the very beginning. It took less than an hour or two to rub Super Blue Son Goku and Vegeta on the ground. Gold Frieza was hammered for an hour. The speed of practice can be called the past and the present. Of course, when I first arrived in the Dragon Ball world, I didn't take Broly as my first training object. It was because Broly's talent was too powerful. With only 10,000 combat power, I can't train Broly at all. And now, he is already A-level strength, although he may not be Broly's opponent, but he can help him cultivate anyway. When he trains Broly to become an A-level apprentice, his strength will naturally rise to S-level. At that time, I should be able to fight Broly 50-50, and even suppress him. The strength of S-level, although I haven't clearly defined it yet, it must exceed the strength of most gods of destruction. At that time, it is estimated that in other universes, it can also be rampant. After all, Angel is not allowed to shoot at will. Hey? What are we going to do in that kind of place? Videl didn't understand. Didn't he mean to travel to other planets? Such a barren planet, what fun is there? Of course I have my plan, let's go. After Lin Mo finished speaking, the bodies of the two disappeared in place in an instant. Call out. In just a split second, the scene in front of the two of them was completely different. At this moment, what the two of them faced was a very barren planet. As far as the eye could see, there were basically bare rocks. There is no trace of freshness, and the potholes look like the surface of the moon. Is this the place you are going to travel? Okay, what a disgusting place. Videl looked at the environment in front of him, with disgust in his eyes. And that sweltering temperature made me quite uncomfortable. Is it disgusting? I think it's okay. Lin Mo smiled and said. At this moment, he had already felt 2 strands of combat power, one of which should be around 4,000. And the other combat force has reached the level of hundreds of thousands. Obviously, the weak one belongs to Broly's father Paragus, and the breath of hundreds of thousands of fighting belongs to Broly. Chapter 58. Hey? Lin Mo, look, what is that? It's disgusting. Suddenly, Videl ran directly behind Lin Mo, looked at the strange creatures in front of him and cried out. It looks like a spider, with red-faced fangs, and its body is like a hill. The 8 legs are as thick as pillars. Most people are naturally a little scared when they see this kind of thing. Hat. These are some familiar creatures. Lin Mo smiled, then raised his hand casually, shooting countless golden rays of light, piercing the bodies of 5 or 6 spiders directly. This is a specialty of the Wampa planet and is the life-sustaining food of Broly. Burst. Then the spider exploded directly, and the disgusting mucus sprayed out. A light green protective layer appeared around Lin Mo's body, directly blocking the mucus. It's disgusting. Looking at the green slime, Videl shivered. Even Lin Mo felt nauseous looking at it. Thinking about how Broly survived by eating this kind of food for decades, it is really pitiful. Let's go. After Lin Mo's voice fell, he disappeared instantly. When it reappeared, a strange figure appeared in front of it. His special off-white hairstyle stood tall, his beard and hair were all white, and the combat uniform on his body was already in tatters. A brown tail swings back and forth behind him. You, who are you? The moment Paragus saw Lin Mo and Videl, a look of joy appeared in his eyes. For decades, I have never seen a human figure, but I never thought that I would see a human being again now. It's really exciting, maybe I can leave this ghost place now. Scion Paragus. Lin Mo smiled faintly, looked at the old man in front of him and said. You, how do you know my name? The excitement on Paragus' face disappeared little by little, and he looked at Lin Mo and asked. Never mind that, where is Broly? My target is Broly, not you. Lin Mo ignored Paragus directly, he must have no interest in this kind of rubbish. Broly. Paragus roared loudly, and a second later, a figure suddenly roared like lightning. Boom. Then he stood firmly beside Paragus. This is my son Broly, what can you do with him? Paragus looked at Lin Mo and asked with a vigilant look. Now I must let the 2 people in front of me take them out of here. I really can't stay in this ghost place for a moment. So now, I naturally want to make a good image of these 2 people in front of me. Broly, my name is Lin Mo, nice to meet you. Looking at the Broly in front of me, it is exactly the same as the Broly in the movie version of Dragon Ball Super Broly. Chi bare to the upper body, with a cross scar on the chest, and his good friend's ears hanging from his waist, his eyes are firm, a little ignorant, and a little vigilant. After all, he has almost no contact with people and things outside, so he is very vigilant towards human beings. Hearing Lin Mo's words, Broly looked at Paragus, as if asking for his approval. Only after Paragus nodded, Broly spoke 3 simple words to Lin Mo. Broly. Mr. Lin Mo, right? You don't seem to have brought the universe spaceship with you, how did you come to planet Wampa? Paragus looked behind Lin Mo and Videl and asked. We naturally have our way. Lin Mo actually didn't really want to talk to Paragus. Lin Mo, those 2 guys look like savages, they look so dangerous. And, why do they have tails? Videl tugged Lin Mo's sleeve and said in a low voice. Don't be afraid, they are not in danger. Lin Mo patted Videl's hand and said. The current Broly only has a fighting power of several 100,000, which is really not worth mentioning in his own eyes. Then what is the purpose of your coming here? Seeing Lin Mo's cold stares again and again, Paragus was obviously a little displeased. I'm here to teach Broly, make him stronger, become the strongest scion. Lin Mo looked at Broly and said. After Broly heard Lin Mo's words, his expression was obviously startled. Joke, my son Broly is the strongest scion right now, how could you teach me? Paragus suddenly smiled coldly and said. King Vegeta of planet Vegeta's combat power is only over 10,000, while his son Broly has already reached hundreds of thousands. Maybe Broly's fighting power even surpassed that of the Universe Emperor Frieza. Cut, frog in a well. Are you sure Broly is very strong now? Lin Mo looked at Paragus disdainfully, and continued, then, how about letting me compete with Broly? Chapter 59. Broly, since he wants to compete with you, let him feel your strength. Paragus spoke to Broly. The arrogant guy wants to compete with Scion, I don't know whether it is ignorance or arrogance. Call. Hearing what Paragus said, Broly grinned suddenly and looked at Lin Mo fiercely. Obviously at this moment, Lin Mo has been regarded as an enemy. System, Broly will be my 3rd apprentice, if I train him to S rank, will my strength be raised to SS rank? Lin Mo said silently in his mind. Back to the host, your current strength is A level, there is no way to leapfrog, so even if Broly's strength reaches S level, your strength can only be raised to S level, of course, the premise of the reward is that Broly must admit the fact that the host is his teacher. The electronically synthesized voice of the system sounded seriously from his mind. What I said is basically the same as before, because when Broly's strength rises to A level, the rewards will naturally be issued. So the next training is considered to be the same apprentice, so no rewards will be given. Is it still like this? Although Lin Mo was a little disappointed, it was expected. After all, the system had already told him about this matter, so he asked just now to make sure. Broly, don't look at me like that, we are not enemies, it's just a competition. Seeing Broly with a ferocious face, Lin Mo smiled and said. This guy's talent is very strong, so if you make him angry, it's still a bit dangerous. Call. Hearing Lin Mo's words and seeing Lin Mo's harmless smile, Broly's ferocious expression seemed to ease a little. Wait a second. Lin Mo stopped suddenly, then took out a capsule and threw it on the ground. A luxurious room appeared in front of several people, which was given to him by Vegeta. This, how did the house appear, what was that just now? Paragus asked in a daze. I have never seen such a thing before, and it turned into a house with a bang. There is food inside, and it won't be so hot, you two just stay inside. Lin Mo looked at Videl and said. The temperature of the Wampa planet is indeed very high, and Videl is just an ordinary human being, so he can't hold on for too long. Looks like I'm running out of time, I have to improve Videl's strength. Lin Mo thought silently in his heart. I didn't expect you to be very thoughtful. Looking at the luxurious room in front of him, Videl smiled at Lin Mo and said. Paragus was not polite at all, he walked in directly, took the food and ate it crazily. In the past few decades, I haven't eaten a decent meal in this ghost place for a long time. Okay, let's get started. Lin Mo's eyes suddenly became sharp. There was a very powerful aura exuding from his whole body. Broly's eyes suddenly turned cold, and after gritting his teeth, he attacked Lin Mo. Broly's attack is very simple, nothing more than a straight-line brute force attack. But think about it, Broly is talented, but he doesn't have a good teacher, nor a good opponent. So naturally there is no rich combat experience, and there is no way to improve one's own strength in anger and battle. SHHHHHHH. Broly's fist kept rubbing against Lin Mo's body and slashed across. But they can't touch Lin Mo's body at all. It has power, but the speed is too slow, and the attack is too single, I don't know how to change it. Lin Mo commented on Broly's attack while avoiding Broly's attack. How is it possible? Broly didn't even hit that guy with a single punch. Paragus looked at Lin Mo in a daze, and said to himself. In my own perception, Broly is very powerful. But it's too unbelievable to be played by Lin Mo like a child. Humph, don't be too surprised, Lin Mo's strength is not limited to this. Looking at the face of Paragus who has never seen the world, Videl said proudly. In fact, she is just talking, as for how strong Lin Mo is, she has no idea at all. SHHHHHHH. Broly is still carrying out a very single-point attack, which has no effect at all. It's too slow, you have to know how to be flexible. The moment Lin Mo finished speaking, he punched Broly in the middle of the forehead. Broly was sent flying with a punch. Rumbling. When digging on the reef was smashed instantly. Chapter 60. Aha! With a roar, Broly jumped up from the pile of rubble, anger appeared in his eyes, and his black hair stood on end. Obviously, it was Lin Mo's attack just now, which made Broly feel threatened, so he got a little angry, call out. Then the body flashed out and directly attacked Lin Mo. The speed and strength seemed to be stronger than before. But before Broly became Super Saiyan, the gap between him and Lin Mo was still huge. Swish swish swish. Punch after punch, Broly attacked like he was tireless. This guy's fighting potential is indeed very strong. In just such a short time, his speed and strength have improved a lot. While avoiding Broly's attack, Lin Mo thought in horror. Son Gohan's potential can't be compared with Broly's at all. Maybe Broly is the purest Saiyan, bark. In the next second, Broly directly punched Lin Mo's sleeve. The clothes were torn instantly. Although it did not cause any harm to Lin Mo, it meant that Broly was able to touch himself while retaining his strength. Lin Mo clenched his fists tightly, since that's the case, let's have a good fight with Broly. After thinking about it, Lin Mo's body flashed out, and he directly confronted Broly non-stop. Of course, his strength has always remained similar to that of Broly, so it will be easier for Broly to learn his own fighting skills. In this way, a full half an hour passed. The entire Wampa planet has been destroyed by the two people's attacks. And with this half hour of fighting, Lin Mo clearly felt that Broly's strength was close to sea level, that is, that of ordinary Super Saiyan. It's just that the current Broly has no tendency to become Super Saiyan at all. After all, the reason why Broly improved so quickly when fighting Vegeta was because Vegeta had the idea of killing Broly from the beginning. And Paragus tells Broly that Vegeta is their enemy. Therefore, the enemy is extremely jealous when they meet each other, and they are more likely to get angry, stimulating their potential. Bang bang bang! The sonic circles in the sky kept flickering, but Paragus and Videl could no longer see Lin Mo and Broly clearly. This speed is indeed too fast for them. Okay, that's it for today. Lin Mo's body flashed suddenly, and appeared behind Broly, with his right hand forming a knife. He slashed heavily at Broly's neck. Boom! Broly's body smashed directly into the ground. Call out! Lin Mo's body followed and appeared on the ground. Broly shook his head vigorously. It seemed that the desire to fight had awakened a little bit, and he didn't have the slightest desire to end the fight. Just when Lin Mo was about to stun Broly with all his strength, Paragus suddenly pressed the control button in his hand. That's a device to keep Broly from going berserk. It can generate a powerful electric current, which can calm the violent Broly instantly. Ah! After a series of currents flowed through his body, Broly fell to his knees softly. Panting heavily, the ferocity and desire to fight in his eyes had completely disappeared. That's right Broly, your fighting potential is very strong. When I fought with you just now, your strength has already improved qualitatively. It's just that your combat experience is not enough now, and there is still a very powerful force in your body that has not been guided out. Lin Mo stretched out his palm to Broly, pulled Broly up, and said seriously. Then how do I need to improve my combat experience and channel out my strength? Broly returned to the innocence of the past, looked at Lin Mo in a daze, and asked. At this time, Broly had a simple and honest appearance, which was completely incomparable with the violent fighting form just now. You recognize me as a teacher, I can help you guide out the power hidden in your body, how about it? Lin Mo smiled slightly and said. This is my real purpose. Teacher. Okay, then I will recognize you as a teacher. Broly nodded and said. Very good. Lin Mo nodded. Just now he was afraid that Broly didn't like fighting, so he refused to recognize himself as a teacher. I didn't expect it to be quite simple. System, is it all right now? After Broly recognized his teacher, Lin Mo said silently in his heart. Yes, congratulations to the host for receiving the fifth apprentice. The electronic synthesis sound of the system sounded from the mind. Next, I must be able to raise Broly's strength to A level, or even S level soon. And the way to teach Broly is even simpler, just fight him. Chapter 61. Lin Mo, do you guys want to accept people as apprentices whenever you see them? After returning to the room, Videl looked at Lin Mo curiously and asked. Son Gohan is his apprentice. He wanted to be his teacher last time, but now he has accepted another wild man as his apprentice. I really wonder if he has obsessive-compulsive disorder. It's almost the same, but I usually accept those who are more talented in cultivation as apprentices, because I can become stronger by accepting apprentices. Lin Mo responded simply while eating a big ham. Can I find a good excuse to be perfunctory? Returning apprentices can make you stronger, you lied to the children, right? However, you said that you only recruited apprentices with relatively strong cultivation talents. Does that mean that my cultivation talents are also very strong? Videl pouted first, then asked excitedly. After all, I feel that when I was learning martial arts, I was quite fast. The genius is probably talking about a person like himself. No, you are an exception. Lin Mo shook his head and said very straightforwardly. Lin Mo, can't you just perfuse me? Do you know that it hurts when you talk like that? Videl turned his head away and said with a displeased face. Of course, she knew very well what Lin Mo said was true. Whether it's Son Gohan or this savage in front of him, Broly, they all seem to be very strong. It is so strong that it is difficult to look at it with normal logic. I'm just telling the truth. Oh, by the way, do you want to cultivate stronger? Lin Mo turned his head suddenly, looked at Videl and asked. Videl's current strength is indeed too weak. If she can be promoted to the strength of Super Saiyan, then she can also defend herself in most cases in the future. Of course, I've always wanted to be stronger. My goal before was to surpass Dad, but now my goal is to surpass you. Vidal clenched his fist and said excitedly. You don't have to think about surpassing me. But starting tomorrow, you can practice with us, but the practice will be very hard. Lin Mo said seriously. Well, I'm not afraid of hard work. Vidal shook his head, speaking also seriously. If one day I can be as good as Lin Mo, that would be great. Teacher, these things of yours are really delicious. Broly held the food in both hands, kept stuffing it into his mouth, and said to Lin Mo, ever since I was a child, I have been eating the slime from the monster's legs to survive. The taste is very lustful, bitter, and very unpalatable. Although I am almost used to it now, compared with these foods, it is simply a let go of your belly and eat hard, I have plenty here. Lin Mo said with a smile, the 200 million bonus, all of which he let Son Gohan exchange for food. 20 capsules are fully filled. No matter how big the appetites of Broly and Paragus are, it is estimated that they can eat for a long time. After Broly nodded, he buried his head down and ate again. It's like a very hungry child. Of course, Broly's personality is indeed like a child who doesn't know anything. Mr. Lin Mo, can you take us out of this place? Paragus put down the food in his hand, looked at Lin Mo and asked respectfully. After seeing Lin Mo's strength just now, Paragus felt scared. So between the words, there is naturally some awe. Let's see when the time comes. Even if I don't take you away, you will only stay in this place for 3 to 5 years at most. Naturally, someone will take you out of here. After Lin Mo thought about it, he spoke. In Dragon Ball Super Broly, after the Tournament of Power ended, Frieza's men found Broly and Paragus and took them out. Now the history of Dragon Ball's main time and space has actually been changed. I don't know if Frieza will appear by then. Is that so? Paragus frowned, a little disappointed, but he didn't dare to say anything more. At night, Lin Mo used capsules to conjure 2 houses, one for Paragus and Broly, and one for himself and Vidal. The next morning, Lin Mo woke up very early. Then I checked my system template, and now I just happen to have 10,000 reputation points. System, exchange for a freely switchable gravity room with a time limit of 5,000 times gravity for 1 year. Lin Mo gave orders to the system directly in his mind. Originally, I wanted to exchange for the spiritual time room of the 5,000 times gravity room, but the price was too expensive and I needed 8,000 reputation points. But for a 5,000-fold gravity room for a single year, only 5,000 reputation points are enough. 3,000 prestige points are missing. I am not so anxious about time now, so I don't need to practice in the spiritual time room. Congratulations to the host, the 1-year 5,000-fold gravity chamber was successfully exchanged, cost, 5,000 prestige points, the host's current remaining prestige points, 5,000. The electronic synthesis sound of the system sounded again. Chapter 62. Although spending 5,000 prestige points made Lin Mo feel a bit of heartache, but considering that his strength can be upgraded to S rank, it should be comparable to the strength of gods of destruction. Thinking about it this way makes me feel a lot brighter. Half an hour later, Lin Mo called both Broly and Vidal into the gravity chamber. Lin Mo, what kind of place is this? Vidal looked around, it seemed to be dark red, which made people feel depressed. Gravity room, you can switch the gravity in the room at will. Lin Mo replied. And Broly didn't speak, but looked at the gravity room curiously, feeling very strange. System, spend 1,000 reputation points to develop potential for Vidal. Lin Mo said without hesitation. Now I still have a lot of reputation points left, since I decided to take Vidal with me, I must help her improve her strength. Before, I didn't have much reputation and time, so I didn't help Vidal to practice. Now I have a lot of time. Ding! Congratulations to the host for helping Vidal to stimulate his potential successfully. Vidal has gained 500% learning ability, the sound of the system sounded. It's really surprising that Vidal has gained 5 times the speed of cultivation. After hearing the sound of the system, Lin Mo had some incredible thoughts. After all, Vidal is an ordinary earthling, although he is a little bit stronger. Purchase body strengthening agent *1. Lin Mo ordered again in his mind. After all, Vidal is a human body, too weak. There is no way to withstand too much gravity. Since she decided to help her improve her strength, she must first strengthen her body. Congratulations to the host, the body enhancer was successfully purchased, do you want to use it? Use immediately, subject, Videl. Successful use of body strengthening agent, the electronic synthesis sound of the system rang continuously. What's going on? Lin Mo, I feel that my body has changed suddenly. Videl looked at Lin Mo in surprise and asked. Change? Is there any? Lin Mo asked puzzledly. When I strengthen my body, I don't feel anything. Well, I suddenly feel that my body is light and floating, as if I can float up at any time. Videl nodded heavily and said. Think too much, it's just your illusion. Close your eyes now, and I will give you the method of controlling qi and the cultivation of some skills. Lin Mo learned that the system can send these things directly to Videl's mind. This saves me a lot of time. Videl nodded and closed his eyes. Then suddenly a message appeared in his mind. Qi control method, flying technique, Kaio-ken, etc. Okay, so amazing. Lin Mo, how on earth did you do it? After receiving the information, Videl looked at Lin Mo excitedly and asked. Lin Mo is really getting more and more mysterious. It feels like a mystery, which makes people want to solve him very much. Secret. Lin Mo smiled mysteriously, but in his heart he praised himself for how powerful this system is. Okay, now I have taught you everything, practice hard. You can adjust the gravity of your piece at will. 1g is the normal gravity, 2g is twice the gravity, 10g is 10 times the gravity, and so on, understand? Lin Mo wants to quickly settle Videl, and then go to practice against Broly. Because training Broly is actually the two of them improving each other. After a year of sparring in the gravity room, it's really not certain who will win. Well, I understand. After Videl nodded, he began to practice. And Lin Mo turned and walked towards Broly. Long wait, Broly. Next, let's start our cultivation. After finishing speaking, Lin Mo directly controlled his strength to the level of sea level. In his own system gravity room, he is almost invincible. According to the system, even if Grand Priest is in the system, he can be slapped away by Lin Mo. So Broly is naturally a no-brainer. Well, then I will attack, teacher. After Broly finished speaking, he directly attacked Lin Mo obviously. After yesterday's battle, Broly's combat experience and skills have greatly improved. Lin Mo naturally didn't dare to be careless, he jumped up, and the two directly fought together, bang bang bang. In the system gravity chamber, they can fight unscrupulously. Because there is no fear of being destroyed at all. Chapter 63. The two practiced against each other for nearly half an hour, and Broly was able to catch up with Lin Mo's attack speed. Broly's learning ability is simply terrifying. Lin Mo was silently shocked in his heart. Originally Lin Mo wanted to develop Broly's potential, but in the current situation, there is no need to spend reputation points to help him develop his potential. His learning ability and cultivation speed are already very top-notch. System, add 500 times the gravity. Lin Mo directly boosted the gravity to 500 times, because now the strength of the two is close to the full power level of Super Saiyan 2. If the gravity of the gravity room is too low, there is no way to cause too much burden on the two of them. So after practicing, it doesn't have much effect, especially the body. Practicing in the gravity room is basically a kind of cultivation for the strength of the body. At the moment when the force of gravity was increased by 500 times, the bodies of the two suddenly sank. You must know that although the two are very strong now, the gravity of 500 times is still quite terrifying. Teacher, why do you suddenly feel that my body has become extremely heavy? Broly frowned and asked Lin Mo. Because I added 500 times the gravity on the two of us, you will feel heavy at will. Lin Mo answered. Cultivating under such conditions can help us improve our body's strength. Yeah, I understand teacher, let's continue. After Broly nodded, he attacked Lin Mo again. Lin Mo also touched the ground with his toes and met Broly. Bang bang bang. The bodies of the two kept touching each other. Under this kind of gravity, Broly seemed to be slowly getting familiar with it. The two kept exchanging punches, back and forth, the injuries on their bodies increased little by little, and their clothes were already tattered. The time is a little bit, and the day passes quickly. As for the gravity in the gravity room, except for the area controlled by Videl, Lin Mo has adjusted the gravity to 1,000 times the gravity. Hoo hoo hoo. Hoo hoo hoo. In the gravity room, Lin Mo and Broly had scars of various sizes on their bodies. There are blood stains on the corners of the mouth, the clothes on the upper body are already torn, and the upper body is naked, revealing a strong figure. Both of them were panting heavily. Obviously, they had practiced for a day under the extraordinary gravity, which was a great test for their physical fitness. Of course, that's assuming Broly isn't losing his mind in anger. Broly, who lost his mind due to anger, will only fight until the last moment, or die from exhaustion of energy. There will be no exhaustion before death. Okay, let's come here today. Now start to eat well and rest, let's continue practicing tomorrow. Lin Mo straightened his waist slowly, and said to Broly. He is very clear that cultivation still requires a combination of work and rest. Just like when Son Gohan was in the Cell chapter, and Son Gohan practiced in the spiritual time room, staying in that place all the time, the speed of cultivation may not increase much. On the contrary, if you combine work and rest, you may get twice the result with half the effort if you practice. Well, good teacher. Broly nodded. To be honest, when he and his father practiced, they had never been so tired as today. Although it is very tiring, when fighting with the teacher, it will make me very excited. Swish! In the next second, Lin Mo retracted all the gravity in the gravity chamber, and it became normal gravity. At that moment, he felt that his body was so light, as if he could float up while standing. And his own strength has been significantly improved. It seems that fighting Broly not only helps Broly improve, but also improves his own strength very quickly. Especially the strength of the body, the progress is very fast. Here, the wounds on the body will recover soon after eating it. Lin Mo took out 2 fairy beans and threw one directly at Broly. Broly grabbed the jelly bean and put it in his mouth, chewing it with a cluck. After eating the fairy beans, Broly's injuries instantly healed, and his physical fitness returned to its peak state. It's so amazing. It's completely recovered. Broly looked at his body with a look of surprise, except for the tattered clothes, he looked like an uninjured person. Lin Mo smiled and ate one himself. In addition to recovering from his injuries, the hunger he felt after practicing for a day was also gone. Chapter 64. Then Lin Mo and Broly walked in front of Videl, and Videl drove 10 times the gravity at this time. This surprised Lin Mo very much. Although she was already struggling, she still gritted her teeth and persisted. It seems that the determination to become stronger is also very firm. Okay Videl, don't practice anymore, it's time to rest. Looking at Videl with a serious face, Lin Mo said. No, I have to practice again. I feel that the strength in my body seems to be much stronger. Videl didn't even look at Lin Mo, and answered directly. Gritting his teeth tightly, he said with a concentrated face. Cultivation emphasizes the combination of work and rest. Your practice will only wear down your body. You can stop it. Lin Mo said sternly. There is nothing wrong with myself and Broly, after all, their physical strength and strength are very strong. Although it is no problem to practice for a few days or even a few months under this extraordinary gravity. But Videl is different, her newly strengthened body has not fully adapted yet. And the foundation is not good, so it is easy to backfire. Oh, well then. Hearing Lin Mo's words, Videl could only stop quickly. Although she desperately wants to make herself stronger, she also knows that the opposite is true. This is the same as practicing martial arts. Then the 3 of them left the gravity room, returned to the room and started eating. Of course, Lin Mo and Broly have already eaten fairy beans, and eating now is just a mouth-watering festival. Lin Mo, shall we go to the gravity room to train again after eating? Videl asked while eating. Although the practice is very tiring, sometimes even out of breath, but I like that feeling very much. Because I desperately want to make myself stronger. I am also looking forward to the day when I become stronger. What do you practice at night? Sleep and rest well after eating, and start practicing again tomorrow morning. Lin Mo looked at Videl and said. Anyway, they have a year now, and they are not in a hurry at all. It is too easy for Broly to break through to S-level strength during this period of time. Oh, well then. Videl pouted and nodded sheepishly. In the morning of the next day, after the 3 of them simply ate something, they began to practice. This time, after Lin Mo entered the gravity room, he directly adjusted the gravity of himself and Broly to 2,000 times the gravity. Only by constant oppression can one's body become stronger and harder. At the same time as the state is raised, the physical strength and fighting skills need to be improved at the same time. In this way, if you meet opponents of the same level, you can defeat them with a crushing attitude. TCH, so heavy. It feels like my body is about to be crushed. Broly gritted his teeth and said in a low voice. Of course, this is because now he is not aerating, but is supporting 2000 times the gravity with his pure body. The gravity of 2000 times is indeed a bit too heavy, but practicing under this gravity can greatly improve our strength, speed and reaction ability. The body is the source of cultivation. A strong body is like a container. How much energy it can hold depends on how strong and how big the container is. If you don't have a strong body, no matter how much energy you have, you can't control it, and it will hurt your body instead. Lin Mo explained to Broly with a serious face. Well, I understand, teacher. Broly nodded. Of course, Lin Mo doesn't know if he understands it, anyway, he understands it this way. A strong body is definitely very important. Okay, then let's continue to practice. Seeing Broly nodding seriously, Lin Mo said. When you are practicing, you should take a good rest when you are resting, but when you are practicing, you should work hard. Well, offended, teacher. A fierce look appeared in Broly's eyes, and then he rushed towards Lin Mo directly. Of course, that kind of speed is not much faster than normal people. After all, the gravity of 2000 times is not a joke. Chapter 65. Lin Mo and Broly are responsible for the hard training in the gravity room during the day, and after dinner, they start chatting, and then go for a walk and fight little monsters. It's been quite chic. In this way, 2 months passed quickly. At this time, in the gravity room, Chen Mo had already adjusted the gravity to the maximum of 5000 times. Both Lin Mo and Broly had beads of sweat on their foreheads. Old teacher, the gravity is too strong this time, I feel like my body will be crushed. Broly hunched over, with his hands on his knees, and spoke with difficulty. This kind of gravity is too terrifying, it feels like my body is being dropped by a boulder weighing hundreds of thousands of kgs, it is very uncomfortable. Then don't restrain yourself, release all the energy in your body. Use all your strength to resist this terrifying gravity. Lin Mo said seriously. Because at this time, I have already adjusted my strength to the A level. Only in this way can I feel that the terrifying gravity has weakened a little. All power. Broly was taken aback for a moment, then he gritted his teeth tightly, bent his body, and let out a deep roar from his throat. Haha! And the moment the cry appeared, Broly's hair suddenly stood on end. The eyes also completely changed at this moment, the pupils suddenly turned golden. The original pure eyes had completely turned into a bloodthirsty look. Is it going to fail again? Lin Mo looked at Broly, frowned and said. In fact, in the past 2 months, Broly has also turned into this angry form, fused the power of the great ape into the normal state. It's just that in this way, Broly's sanity will be completely lost. This happened 4 or 5 times before. So when he turned into that form, he was directly slapped dizzy by himself, after all, that was not the result he wanted. And in the system, I am in a state of complete invincibility, even if Broly becomes Super Saiyan's full power form, I can slap him unconscious. I want Broly to be able to maintain his sanity even when he becomes a Super Saiyan. Broly, keep your sanity, release your breath little by little, don't let the rage control you. Lin Mo shouted loudly to Broly. Old teacher. Hearing Lin Mo's words, a clear look appeared in Broly's eyes, but it disappeared only for a moment. Ho 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 ho! After a roar, a terrifying aura suddenly appeared around Broly, pushing Lin Mo back a few steps. Swish! The next moment, Broly's pupils turned golden yellow. Ah! A deep roar continued to come out of Broly's throat, and the next moment, terrifying grass-green energy burst out from Broly's body. And his pupils turned crimson at this moment, as if he had completely lost his mind. The muscles swelled instantly, and the body swelled completely. It seems that this guy is going to lose his mind again. Do you want to knock him out? Looking at the almost crazy Broly, Lin Mo was very entangled. If Broly transforms successfully, he may become a special Super Saiyan, which is estimated to reach the peak of A level, or even S level. But if it becomes a failure this time, if you completely lose your mind, it may be difficult to correct it in the future. Forget it, let's fight. After struggling for a few seconds, Lin Mo waved his right hand, and a light green energy barrier suddenly appeared around Videl. Because of Broly's next transformation, the destructive power is quite powerful, and one carelessness may end Videl's life. Ah! Broly was still roaring non-stop, with blue-yellow arrogance swirling around him. The next moment, that bluish-yellow flame directly turned into a beam of light. And Broly's body was floating in that blue-yellow beam of energy. Then, the color of the entire gravity chamber began to change continuously with Broly's arrogance. Purple, red, blue. Finally turned into grass green. What? What kind of monster is that guy? Naturally, Videl had noticed Broly's state long ago, and looked at Broly in horror. If the power emanating from this guy is not controlled by this house, it is estimated that it can destroy this planet in an instant, right? It's unbelievable that such a terrifying guy exists in this world. Chapter 66. In the end, Broly was directly swallowed by a grass-green energy ball. Ah ah ah! The violent roar echoed for a long time in this gravity chamber, and suddenly, countless energy waves shot out from the grass-green energy ball around Broly. It seems that this is really bad, that guy Broly can't control his breath at all. Lin Mo frowned tightly and said. Although Broly's shotgun attack couldn't hit him, but if it goes on like this, it will be difficult for him to control his Xingxing. Ding! Congratulations to the host's fifth apprentice, Broly, whose strength exceeds A level, so the strength of the host has reached the S level, the reward reputation is 10,000, and the reward skill, Imperfect Ultra Instinct, and just when Broly went crazy and turned into a special Super Saiyan, the electronic synthesis sound of the system suddenly sounded in his mind. Has Broly's strength surpassed A level? That is to say, you just became a special Super Saiyan, and you have surpassed the A rank before becoming a Super Saiyan at full power. Lin Mo frowned, thinking in horror. After a brief moment of horror, a look of ecstasy appeared on Lin Mo's face. Because now, Broly has upgraded his strength to the level of S rank, and what excites him the most is that the reward skill this time turned out to be Ultra Instinct. Although it is not perfect Ultra Instinct, it is enough to make Lin Mo feel excited. You must know that the gods of destruction Beerus of the 7th universe lived for hundreds of millions of years before he mastered the imperfect Ultra Instinct. And now that he has mastered Ultra Instinct, how can he not be excited? The strength of the S-class is estimated to have surpassed the strength of the second-rate gods of destruction like Kampa. Coupled with the imperfect Ultra Instinct, I am now sure to defeat more than half of gods of destruction. Of course, whether he can defeat Beerus, who is known as the strongest gods of destruction, is still unknown. But now I haven't met Beerus yet, so don't worry too much about it. Ah! Just when Lin Mo was excited, Broly suddenly rushed out from the green energy ball. He punched Lin Mo, and Lin Mo was so excited at this moment that he completely forgot that there was another Broly who broke through Super Saiyan. Swish! After becoming Super Saiyan, whether it is speed or strength, there is definitely a huge change. It's just that just when Broly's fist was about to touch Lin Mo's body, a layer of silver flames surrounded Lin Mo's body. The slight side of the body avoided Broly's fist. This kind of evasion is completely unconscious, and is evaded spontaneously by the muscles of the body. After dodging Broly's attack, Lin Mo reacted from the excitement. Ultra Instinct is really powerful. Lin Mo looked at Broly behind him, looked at his body excitedly, and thought in his heart. Hey Broly, keep your mind and don't let the raging energy get you. Lin Mo turned his head and reminded Broly. Hoo. Broly gritted his teeth and turned his head, his eyes were now empty and completely pale. Turn around and attack Lin Mo again. Lin Mo's body seemed to move very slowly, but he was able to avoid Broly's attack perfectly every time. What's going on? The temperature in the entire room has increased. Lin Mo's body seems to have undergone some changes. Although it looks very slow, Broly can't hit at all. What's going on? Videl on the side stopped his practice, looked towards Lin Mo and Broly, and muttered to himself with a look of surprise. Although her own strength is still very weak, she can also feel that both of them have become stronger. SHHHHHHH. Broly was still frantically waving his fist towards Lin Mo, and the more he missed Lin Mo, the more violent he seemed to be. Stop Broly! Lin Mo shouted loudly, judging from the current situation, Broly is completely confused because of becoming Super Saiyan. So if this continues, he will definitely fight until his strength is exhausted before giving up. Broly kept attacking as if he didn't hear Lin Mo's voice at all, and the energy ball kept blasting Lin Mo from his palm. Take a good rest. Seeing Broly, who had completely lost his mind, Lin Mo appeared directly behind Broly in a flash, with his right hand forming a knife, and looked heavily at Broly's neck. Chapter 67. Boom. When the hand knife slashed heavily on Broly's neck, Broly's pupils suddenly shrank, and then all the arrogance on his body disappeared. It changed back to normal, lying softly on the ground. Have you been knocked out again? Lin Mo is too violent. Videl looked at Lin Mo and said speechlessly. After practicing for 2 months, Broly has already been knocked out and dragged out several times. Let's go, today's practice is over. Lin Mo picked up Broly and said to Videl. Oh? Got it. Videl nodded, fearing that he would end up like Broly for being disobedient, being knocked out and carried out. Broly. Why is it like this again? Paragus looked at his son in Lin Mo's hands, looking a little angry. Because I seem to have seen it several times, they came out of the gravity chamber, and Broly was knocked out and carried out. Lin Mo walked into the room without even looking at Paragus. An hour later, Broly woke up. Forehead. Broly touched his neck, and after a burst of soreness, he already understood what was going on. Am I out of control again? Teacher. Broly asked with a look of embarrassment. Lin Mo just nodded slightly, anyway, he was almost used to it. I am sorry. Broly quickly lowered his head and said. It's okay, although you lost control, you have successfully transformed into the legendary Super Saiyan. In the next few days, I will find a way to restore your sanity after becoming a Super Saiyan. Lin Mo spoke while eating. What? You mean, my son Broly has turned into the legendary Super Saiyan, the kind of powerful fighter? Paragus said excitedly. That kind of excitement is even more exciting than becoming a Super Saiyan. Meanwhile, a great plan was being hatched from the mind of Paragus. It's not that you turned into Super Saiyan, what are you so excited about? Videl on the side gave Paragus a contemptuous look and said. I really don't like this lazy, narrow-minded old man more and more. Okay, let's eat something. Rest well after eating, tomorrow's practice will remain the same. Lin Mo looked at Broly and Videl and said. At this time, Videl's combat strength should have reached nearly 10,000. For ordinary people, this kind of cultivation speed is simply a trick. But Lin Mo doesn't feel like it's enough. Itself helped Videl to strengthen her body and stimulate her learning abilities 5-fold. It has been 2 months now, and I only have more than 10,000 fighting power in the gravity room every day, which is indeed a bit too slow. And at this time, the combat power of more than 10,000 is considered strong among ordinary people on the earth. But there is no comparison with those bosses at all. In the evening, the planet Wampa is still a khaki color, and it seems that there is no vitality at all. Of course, occasionally there will be a few old friends who seldom come to tease. It's just that their solutions can be imagined. Lin Mo, although I feel that I have made great progress, I always feel that there is still a big gap between us. Sitting on a good rock, Videl and Lin Mo said with some disappointment. Although my strength has improved a lot, it is completely different from myself 2 months ago. But she still couldn't get excited, she knew that with such strength by Lin Mo's side, it would become his burden. Because those people around Lin Mo are simply monsters. If I don't improve my strength, I will feel guilty when I follow Lin Mo. Why do you suddenly think so? As an ordinary earth human being, you are already very strong now. Lin Mo looked at Videl, smiled and said. But, with such strength, following you is still a burden. Videl said with some guilt. With Lin Mo's strength, he will definitely meet many tough opponents in the future. I didn't want to hold him back. What are you thinking? Stay by my side, no matter how strong the enemy is, they can't hurt you in my hands, don't think so much. Lin Mo said with a serious face. When he is fighting against the strong, he can completely place Videl in his own system. Except for Zeno, it is estimated that no one can hurt people in their own system. Chapter 68. That being said. After hesitating for a moment, Videl gritted his teeth and continued, is there any way for you to make me stronger, even if I'm not as strong as Broly, at least I hope I can reach Son Gohan's level. This is probably a bit difficult. I'll think of a way later. Lin Mo replied with some embarrassment. After all, Son Gohan and the others are aliens with the bloodline of the fighting nation Saiyan. The physique, bloodline, and living environment are very different from those on Earth, so it is difficult for Earth people to reach the intensity of Super Saiyan. At least in the world of Dragon Ball, it is. Those disgusting guys have appeared again. Videl felt the voice behind him and knew those big spiders had appeared again. You don't need me to do it now, do you? Lin Mo asked with a smile. Of course, although I'm not as strong as you, I can still deal with a few spiders. After Videl finished speaking proudly, his body jumped up. In just a few seconds, all 4 giant spiders had been killed. Then he clapped his hands and returned to Lin Mo's side. Well, do you feel better? Lin Mo looked at Videl and asked. Hee, it's much more comfortable. Videl smiled happily and said. Killing a few spiders can really vent your unhappiness. It's getting cold, let's go back. Although the daytime of this planet does not seem to be that big, the temperature is very high and stuffy during the day. But after night, the temperature will drop sharply again. After Videl nodded, the two returned to the room. System, is there a way to continue to improve Videl's strength? After returning to the room, Videl had fallen asleep, but Lin Mo did not. In fact, what Videl said is correct, if her strength is too low, it will indeed be inconvenient to follow her. It is impossible to fight with a slightly stronger master every time, let Videl hide in the system. Back to the host, the genes and blood of the people on Earth are too poor. If you want to greatly improve Videl's strength, you must modify her body. After Lin Mo's question was asked, the system's electronically synthesized voice rang out from his mind. Is there really a way? Lin Mo was overjoyed. Originally, he was just asking casually, but he didn't expect the system to have a solution. But to transform the body, I don't know what kind of transformation method it is. Tell me how to carry out the transformation. Lin Mo asked again. If you want to completely change Videl beyond recognition, forget it. Because if this is the case, it is not as good as it is now. If it's too troublesome, I won't do it. After all, I don't have much time to waste. In the world of Dragon Ball, there is an Earthling host named Dr. Gero, you should be aware of it, right? He can collect the cells of Saiyan, Piccolo and Frieza, etc. and then develop Cell. Although the system is still electronically synthesized, it is very humane and shows off. You mean to have Dr. Gero modify Videl? When Lin Mo heard this, he frowned tightly. If this is the case, then I will definitely not do it. I would rather let Videl only have tens of thousands of combat power. Of course not, because the technology of this system is hundreds of millions of years more advanced than that of Dr. Gero, so naturally it will not be that low-level modification method. As long as the host finds suitable cells, this system can modify Videl's genes, which is equivalent to fusion of other genes with the genes of Videl's Earthlings. The system spoke again, obviously a little proud, especially when it said the first sentence. Is that so? After the change, what will happen to Videl? Lin Mo asked curiously again. Although the system was a bit awkward just now, Lin Mo also knows that the technology of his system is definitely far superior to that of Earth's Dr. Gero. After all, this thing, as long as you are in the system, but the cowhide that even the Grand Priest doesn't care about exists. Back to the host, the transformation is just the fusion of two genes. After fusion, the other gene will be completely assimilated by Videl's gene. Videl will not have any changes. Her appearance, personality, etc. will not change, the only thing that changes is her cultivation talent. The system replied very seriously. Have you determined that after the fusion of the two genes, Videl's gene can still occupy a dominant position? Lin Mo asked cautiously again. If you really want fusion genes, then you will definitely find strong genes. Like the DNA of Broly's special Super Saiyan, which is right in front of us now. Broly's genes must be particularly powerful. After fusion with Videl's genes might not be able to suppress Broly's genes, right? Chapter 69. The host can rest assured that this kind of fusion is just a talent for fusion, and the genes after fusion are the original genes of Videl, and there will be no changes, the system replied with great certainty again. Oh, I see. Then what do I need to prepare? Or do you need my help? After Lin Mo nodded, he asked. If this is the case, Videl's body and personality will not change in any way after fusion, so you can try it yourself. If Videl's genetic fusion is successful, he can also use the system to perform genetic fusion in the future. What the host needs to do is to find the gene for Videl fusion, and that's it. the system replied again. It's that simple. Lin Mo asked. Of course, there is also the need to spend 8,000 reputation points for each genetic fusion, damn. I know there is no such thing as a free lunch. Lin Mo cursed, 8,000 reputation is not a small number. By the way, as the host, can I also find some more powerful genes for fusion? Lin Mo asked curiously. Yes, the host can also perform fusion. The number of genetic fusions per person is limited to 1 time, and the host can perform genetic fusions twice. The host actually has privileges. Lin Mo thought happily. If it is possible to perform gene fusion, if I fuse Broly's gene, it means that I have obtained his cultivation talent. At that time, even if you don't need to accept apprentices, you can still become stronger. Okay, I see, I'll get the gene after a while, and then perform fusion. After Lin Mo finished speaking, the system went into hiding again. But Lin Mo was so excited that he couldn't sleep. He didn't expect this system to have such a powerful ability. Gene fusion really made him very interested. Then let Videl perform genetic fusion first, and see how the fusion works. If the effect is good, it's not too late to perform fusion on your own. And Broly's talent is certainly very strong, but the genes of the angel family, the ancestor of Sion Amosi, or the dragon god Salama are probably more powerful, so I am not in a hurry to waste the number of fusion times for now. Although a fusion gene needs to consume 8,000 reputation points, it will definitely not be wasted on Videl's body. If Videl's strength reaches A level, the system will reward 10,000 reputation points and skills. Thinking of this, Lin Mo was still a little excited. This is definitely a profitable business. The worst result is that after fusion, the effect is not satisfactory, Videl's strength cannot be improved, and 8,000 reputation points are wasted. But the system shouldn't cheat itself, right? Before he knew it, Lin Mo fell asleep. Lin Mo, wake up! In a daze, Lin Mo heard Videl's cry. Although I have learned the imperfect Ultra Instinct, I still have to sleep after all. And when there is no danger approaching, the body will not react subconsciously. Aha! What's the matter? It's early in the morning. Lin Mo stretched his waist, got up and asked. I went to bed too late last night, so I felt a little uncomfortable, although I don't have any problem if I don't sleep for a few days now. But sleeping late is a habit and hobby. We can start practicing. Videl looked at Lin Mo and said. Okay, eat something before going. Lin Mo found something casually and ate it. After eating, I entered the gravity chamber with Videl. In this way, time is like running water, passing day by day. A year is almost a fleeting thing. During this year, Broly has successfully overcome the shortcoming of losing his mind after transforming. And now Broly can already become Super Saiyan full power. As for Videl, after a year of training, Zioa's combat power has also risen to nearly 100,000. Although it is not worth mentioning to Lin Mo and Broly, it is indeed very, very difficult to increase the combat power to 100,000 in 1 year. You must know that Jinyu, the captain of the Jinyu Special Forces under the Universe Emperor Frisia, only has a combat power of 120,000. Today is the last day of training in the gravity room. Broly, you have already made your debut, because your current strength is already on par with mine, and I have nothing else to give you. In the gravity room, Lin Mo patted Broly on the shoulder with relief, and said. Chapter 70. Broly's current, ancient, Super Saiyan full power form is comparable to his current S-level strength. The current strength of the two of them is roughly the same. It is estimated that they surpass some of gods of destruction. Of course, this is based on the estimation of Son Goku in the theatrical version of Dragon Ball Super Broly. It is estimated that Broly's strength exceeds gods of destruction Beerus. As for whether it is accurate, unknown. But this is the case that I didn't use the skills and agility such as 100 times Kaio-ken, Chi-Yuan Slash, Flash Time Kung Fu and Ultra Instinct. If these abilities are added, Broly will definitely not be his opponent. Thank you teacher for cultivating me this year. Broly bowed to Lin Mo respectfully. That kind of respect is definitely not just a show. You must know that during this year, Lin Mo not only taught him to become a Super Saiyan, but also taught him a lot of knowledge, whether it is a person, or dealing with things. This is something his father never told himself. Dad has always only let himself practice. Even his first friend, Zioba, was injured by his father and he stopped being his friend. But what the teacher taught me was completely different from what my father taught me. Actually, you have helped me a lot. During the year of training with you, I have also improved very quickly, so you don't have to thank me too much. Lin Mo said with a serious face. Although I didn't get along well with every apprentice in the end, I knew very well that it was my purpose to find them and teach them from the beginning. So I never thought about how grateful they are to me. Okay, you go outside to rest first, and I will teach Videl in the next time. Lin Mo patted Broly on the shoulder and said. During these 8 months, I was not in a hurry to help Videl fusion Broly's genes. Because Broly's super game form was not stable before, he was afraid that after Videl fusion acquired Broly's genes, he would lose his mind just like Broly after improving his strength. Although the system said that only increasing the potential, everything else will not change, but it is always right to be careful. I believe in the system, but I can't believe everything. Good teacher. After Broly nodded, he went out. Then Lin Mo walked up to Videl. Okay, from now on, I will help you improve your strength. Lin Mo looked at Videl and said seriously. Hey? Help me improve my strength. It's been so long, I thought you had forgotten about it. Videl said with a surprised face. After all, I only talked about this with Lin Mo 8 months ago. Unexpectedly, he still remembers it until now, and he is naturally a little moved in his heart. System, I'm accepting Videl as an apprentice now. When Videl's strength reaches S rank, can my strength reach SS rank? Lin Mo asked silently in her heart. Naturally, this matter needs to be confirmed. Yes, the host, but the premise is that Videl must recognize your identity as a teacher. The electronic synthesis sound of the system sounded from the mind. Videl, from now on, I need to help you improve your strength, but there is a condition that you must admit that I am your teacher. This is very necessary, understand? After hearing the sound of the system, Lin Mo said to Videl very seriously. Although I can help Videl improve his potential and strength, since Videl can improve his strength, of course I will not take this opportunity. Well, I see, teacher. Videl also nodded with a serious face, and said to Lin Mo. The look in his eyes was extremely determined, completely different from the arrogance he had when he first met Videl. Okay, then from now on, I will help you improve your potential. After Lin Mo nodded, he said silently in his heart, spend 8,000 reputation points to help Videl perform genetic fusion. I have been thinking about this matter for 8 months, so I didn't have any hesitation when I said it. Moreover, he had obtained Broly's gene a long time ago and handed it over to the system for safekeeping. Is the host sure to spend 8,000 reputation points to help Videl fusion Broly's special super race gene? The system confirmed again. Yes, fusion. Lin Mo said directly in his heart without any hesitation. Okay, gene fusion begins. Chapter 71. The moment the system sound fell, Videl suddenly seemed to be in great pain, and he slumped directly on the ground. Holding his head tightly with both hands, it feels like his head is about to explode at this moment. That feeling is more painful than the blessing of 30 times the gravity on my body. It hurts, my head looks like it's about to split. Videl shook his head vigorously and said in pain. Persevere, it will be fine soon. Lin Mo squatted down quickly, grabbed Videl's hand, and comforted him in a deep voice. He naturally learned from the system that genetic fusion will cause certain pain. In the words of the system, if you want to become stronger, you can't avoid suffering, but if the host himself, you can avoid this kind of pain, which makes Lin Mo suspect that the dog system has intentional suspicions. Videl kept shaking his head, his back was completely wet with sweat. After all, although Videl trained very hard, he never experienced such pain. How long can fusion finish? Looking at Videl, who was sweating profusely and pale in front of him, Lin Mo felt a little distressed. After all, after such a long time, 2 people have been together every day, so they naturally have feelings. Gene fusion countdown, 10, 9, 8. The electronic synthesis sound of the system starts counting down, and there are still 5 seconds left. Okay, it will be ready soon. Lin Mo held Videl's hand tightly and said. 1. Congratulations to the host, your 6th apprentice Videl gene fusion is successful. Finally, the sound of gene fusion's success sounded in his head. And Videl was also at that second, his trembling body turned into a slight twitch. Hoo hoo hoo. Then he gasped heavily. The pain just now is indeed unforgettable for the rest of my life, and I feel like I am going to pass out at any time. Okay, it's done. Lin Mo removed his hand from Vidal's, patted Vidal's shoulder lightly, and said. Vidal hugged Lin Mo's neck suddenly, and Vidal could feel that he was sobbing, but she was so proud that she didn't make a sound. After 10 minutes, Vidal let go of Lin Mo's neck. Then hit Lin Mo on the chest. What kind of way are you improving your strength? Your head almost exploded just now. With red eyes, Vidal pursed his lips and said reproachfully. Isn't this still exploding? Besides, you should understand the simple truth that if you want to wear a crown, you must carry its weight. Lin Mo said with a smile. I still like Vidal's strength, the pain just now is really not something ordinary people can bear. As long as you say. Vidal glared at Lin Mo and said. Okay. Try it now, is there any change in your body? Lin Mo also said with a look of expectation. Because I also really want to know if Vidal after gene fusion has become stronger. How to try? Vidal was taken aback and asked. She felt that her body didn't seem to have changed at all. It seems that apart from the severe pain just now, it seems that there is no change at all. In this way, you punch me, let me see if your strength has increased. After thinking about it, Lin Mo said. If his strength didn't increase, Vidal's combat strength of less than 100,000 would have no effect on him at all. Well, let me try. Vidal was also not polite, because after practicing in this place for a year, she naturally knew the gap between herself and Lin Mo very well. His own fists are not lethal to Lin Mo at all. After finishing speaking, he punched Lin Mo directly. Boom! The moment the fist hit Lin Mo's chest, Lin Mo's expression changed suddenly. Although there are no hind legs under his feet, Xian Cao feels very uncomfortable as if he was hit by a locomotive. Is this really Vidal's power? Lin Mo looked at Vidal in disbelief, unbelievable. Vidal's fist actually made him feel this way. Although he didn't use any chi or defense, he just used his body to carry Vidal's fist. If Vidal still has a fighting power of 100,000, that kind of attack is simply tickling for him. TCH, it really looks like it. Your expression just now is completely polite to acting. Vidal looked at Lin Mo with disdain. This guy pretends so much, his punch is nothing to him at all. System, what is Vidal's current strength? Lin Mo didn't explain to Vidal, but asked the system directly. Back to the host, Vidal's current strength is D rank, the sound of the system made Lin Mo even more frightened. It's just that after gene fusion, the strength directly reaches the D level? List testimonials. I don't want to talk nonsense, I don't want to sell miserably. 30 updates on the first day of release, if you have subscribed to 1000, more than 100 plus 1 update. Leave the update to me, and subscribe to everyone. On the first day of its release, for the sake of Pippi's hard work, let's make a first order, thank you everyone. Chapter 72. This F***CK, is it on or off? Lin Mo said to himself in shock. Aren't you the host yourself the biggest HR? After Lin Mo's voice fell, the system said directly and honestly. Thinking about it this way, it seems to be right, I am the real cheater. I didn't expect that after Vidal fused Broly's genes, he would directly become D-level strength. What if he fused Broly's genes, or even Angel's genes? Isn't that directly invincible? Thinking of this, Lin Mo feels that he really needs to be a cowhide. Even if he can't receive 2 strong apprentices in the future, as long as he fuses some strong genes, his strength can reach or even surpass the SSS level. Hi, are you okay? You can touch porcelain, my punch just now can't hit you stupidly. Looking at Lin Mo with a smirk on his face, Vidal shook his hand in front of Lin Mo and said. Hearing Vidal's voice, Lin Mo recovered from the excitement. You are stupid. Lin Mo smiled, rubbed Vidal's head directly and said. Okay, let's go. Go back and eat something well, and finally you don't need to practice. After finishing speaking, Lin Mo walked out of the room directly. 150 Hey, didn't you say to improve my strength? Why did you leave like this after hurting me? Vidal's blaming voice sounded from behind. She doesn't seem to feel that her strength has actually increased thousands of times. Early the next morning, the gravity chamber had disappeared. Broly, we may have to say goodbye for a while. Lin Mo looked at Broly, and said with a look of reluctance. Plants and trees have feelings, and I am a person of flesh and blood, so when we get along for a long time, we will naturally feel reluctant to part. Especially this guy, Broly, although he has a unique cultivation speed, and his strength is unbelievable. When it's crazy, it's more like gods of destruction. But usually he is like an ignorant boy full of justice, which Lin Mo especially likes. The degree of liking even surpassed those apprentices of Son Gohan and Trunks in the future. Why, teacher? It's because I often can't control my emotions. Did I make you angry? Broly asked anxiously. Because I often lose control, I have been knocked out by the teacher countless times. Presumably besides this reason, there is no other reason, right? No, you didn't make me angry, and I like you very much. But I need to get away from here for a while now, I have other things to do, you understand. I will definitely come to this place to pick you up after things are done, 3 years, 3 at most. Lin Mo assured Broly with a serious face. He thought Broly should stay here. It would be inconvenient to follow him to other universes, and although Paragus is not very kind to Broly, he is Broly's father after all. And Broly also respects him, bringing Paragus with him, it is definitely a very troublesome burden. The main reason is that this guy himself doesn't like it very much. Then I understand. I'm waiting for the teacher to come back on planet Wampa. After thinking about it, Broly nodded and said. Since the teacher has something to do, there will naturally be his reasons, and there is no need to force it. By the way, here are 8 capsules, which contain a lot of food, which should be enough to last for a long time. As he spoke, Lin Mo took out 8 capsules, leaving 2 for himself. These 2 are estimated to be enough for myself and Videl for a long time. Well, thank you teacher. Broly nodded, and didn't refuse. After eating food for a year, it is really difficult to adapt to eating that kind of bitter spider legs now. So, here we go, take care Broly. Lin Mo squeezed Broly's shoulder, GI, and said sincerely. Well, you take care of the teacher too, and Videl. Broly nodded towards Lin Mo and Videl and said. Let's go. Broly, your father is not a good guy, don't listen to everything he says. After Videl finished speaking, he and Lin Mo had disappeared on the planet Wampa. For the next year, Lin Mo and Videl wandered around, and it was a real tour. Lin Mo's own strength has reached the level of S, and possesses such powerful abilities as Ultra Instinct, Flash Time Kung Fu and Kaio-ken, even if he encounters the strongest gods of destruction Beerus, he is not in vain at all. During this year, Lin Mo didn't think about improving his strength, but thought about traveling well. After all, isn't the purpose of being super strong just to make yourself live more freely and freely? Now that I have superior strength, and I have no one to accompany me, this kind of life can definitely be called a free and easy life. Lin Mo, is this the 6th universe you mentioned? On top of a mountain, Videl looked at Lin Mo and asked. Compared with a year ago, Videl at this time is much less youthful, beautiful and playful, and more mature and charming. It was a perfect transformation, a transformation from a girl to a real woman. As for why this metamorphosis happened, of course only Lin Mo can clear it up. That's right, this is the 6th universe. Lin Mo nodded and said. System, analyze the current geographic location. Then Lin Mo said silently in his heart. During this year, Lin Mo has been quite leisurely, so naturally he has some time to study Videl in depth, and at the same time to study his own system. Back to the host, the current location is the 6th universe, planet Pahud, the system answer sounded from the mind. Planet Pahud? Forget it, just go to the 6th universe. Each universe is very big, so who would remember this kind of garbage planet, as long as it reaches the 6th universe? Doesn't matter what planet it is. I have 2 purposes for coming to the 6th universe this time. First, looking for the Super Dragon Ball. Lin Mo knew that Guy Compa was also doing this kind of thing secretly. The second is to see if you can accept Hitt, Gebekal and others as apprentices. As far as the 6th universe is concerned, the strength of these people should be relatively strong, and their breakthroughs should be greater. As long as the system rewards some abilities, anyway, the strength of the 2 of them should not be able to break through the S rank. Hey? There seems to be some breath fluctuations over there. Videl turned his head suddenly, looked to the right direction, and said. Chapter 73. Come on, let's have a look. Lin Mo naturally felt these breaths a long time ago. Very weak, only about 10,000 to 20,000 combat power, of course there are some weaker ones. SHHHHH. The bodies of Lin Mo and Videl seemed to be in place for an instant. At this time, there are two waves of people on this planet, and one wave seems to belong to this planet. The residents of this planet. On the other side, there are invaders wearing combat uniforms, and judging from the current situation, the invaders have the upper hand. Lin Mo, why don't we help those people? Videl's sense of justice seemed to overflow again, and he said to Lin Mo. In the 7th universe, when you see injustice, you have to draw your sword to help. Unexpectedly, it is still like this in the 6th universe. You can go if you want, I'm more interested in the guy behind them now. After Lin Mo finished speaking, he disappeared in front of Videl. It's such a nasty guy who always disappears quietly like this. After Videl pouted and muttered to himself, he walked towards the site of the battle, and Lin Mo's body suddenly appeared in a huge spaceship in the universe. Hey, Captain Frost is really elegant. Lin Mo looked at the leader in the universe spaceship, and said lightly. The appearance is 90% similar to Frisia, the same petite, the same sinister. The only difference is that Frisia's skin is purple, while Frost's is light blue. At this time, Frost was shaking the red wine in the glass with a look of enjoyment. Because soon I will be able to sell another planet and make a lot of money. At the same time, I can become a universe peace ambassador to save the planet and uphold justice. Maybe even win the 4th Universe Peace Prize. Oh? Who are you, that you can appear in my universe spaceship unknowingly? A stern look flashed across Frost's eyes, but it was fleeting. At the same time, I was very terrified in my heart. A guy who could unknowingly appear in his universe spaceship is definitely not easy to mess with. It seems very likely that they are survivors from the planet they destroyed. Me? It's easy to say, a person who likes time travel. Lin Mo walked towards Frost's side step by step, and then directly poured himself a glass of red wine and drank it down. The wine is good. It seems that Captain Frost has made a lot of money from this kind of self-directed and self-acted activities. Lin Mo still said with a very calm smile. You, who the hell are you? Who sent you here? After hearing Lin Mo's words, the corners of Frost's eyes twitched suddenly, and the hand holding the cup suddenly squeezed tightly. Except for the cronies of the peacekeeping force under him, no one knows about this kind of self-directed and self-acted saving of the planet, and then reselling it. How did this strange guy who appeared suddenly know? Didn't I say that? I'm here to travel, but my woman likes to be nosy, so I'm here to chat with you. Lin Mo shrugged and said casually. Meddling your own business. I've seen a lot of nosy people over the years, do you know the fate of meddling? Frost had a gloomy face, his evil nature was completely exposed. After speaking, he made a look at his subordinates. Because in front of the dead, there is no need to pretend at all. I just came here to see Captain Frost. It looks like you don't welcome me, so I'll take my leave. After Lin Mo finished speaking, he disappeared into the spaceship of universe. Captain, that guy escaped? What should we do? Two of Frost's subordinates said nervously. This guy seems to have mastered their tricks. Forget it, let him go. I'm also a 3-time Universe Peace Prize winner anyway, and no one will believe him. Frost spoke confidently. He's just a coward, run away and run away. At this time, Lin Mo has already returned to the surface of planet Pahud. Although we have no grievances, I really want to watch the fireworks today. Seeing Frost and the others staying in the universe spaceship not far from the planet Pahud, at the same time as the faint voice fell, he snapped his fingers lightly with his right hand. Ask for flowers. China. In the next second, Frost's universe spaceship exploded instantly. Like fireworks blooming in the dark universe, it is very gorgeous. Tisk tisk tisk, it turns out that the explosion of the universe spaceship is much more beautiful than fireworks. After Lin Mo said something to himself, he turned around and returned to planet Pahud. And at this time on the planet Gods of Destruction in the 6th universe. Vados took a look at his staff, and then said to Kampa, Lord Kampa, come and have a look. What? Kampa didn't look back, but asked a simple question. He has very important things to do now. Master Kampa, come and see for yourself. Vados spoke softly again. What? It's not about super wishing beads, so don't bother me. Kampa said a little annoyed. After collecting for such a long time, I have now collected 4 super wishing beads, and I have not collected 3 more. From the looks of it, I still need to go to the 7th universe. Although you may meet the skinny Beerus you hate, but for super wishing beads, you have to go. Master Kampa, it seems that a human from the 7th universe appeared in the 6th universe, and even destroyed a spaceship of the universe. Seeing Kampa like that, Vados had no choice but to tell Kampa directly about the matter in a calm tone. Master Kampa, you are so lazy. In the past, he could still practice under his own supervision, but in the past 100 years, he has not practiced at all. So that the body is completely out of shape. What? You said that humans from the 7th universe actually went to the 6th universe and destroyed the universe ship. Hearing Vados' words, Kampa jumped up like a cat whose tail was trampled. That skinny Beerus didn't care about his own universe and let the humans from the 7th universe go to his own universe to make trouble? There is absolutely no way to forgive. Chapter 74. Kampa walked up to Vados, and the staff in Vados' hand tapped lightly on the ground. Suddenly a circle appeared, like a TV screen, and it started to play. And the protagonists in this picture are just when Lin Mo and Videl have just arrived in the 6th universe. The screen played until Lin Mo snapped his fingers, and the universe spacecraft exploded for a second before it stopped playing. Certainly. Damn BD, an ant from the 7th universe, dares to wreak havoc on my territory, I will never spare him. Kampa clenched his fists tightly, grinned, and said angrily. That skinny Beerus was annoying enough, I didn't expect there to be someone as annoying as Beerus in the 7th universe. Vados, let's go there right away, I want to destroy that ant with my own hands. 420 Kampa shot a strong killing intent in his eyes, and ordered to Vados. Lord Kampa, they are now on planet Pahud, are you sure you want to destroy them now? Vados looked at Kampa, confirming. Of course, if I don't destroy this lifeless ant, I won't be able to eat. Kampa still had an angry and serious expression 1 second ago, but the painting style changed suddenly in the next second. Can't eat? Speaking of food, I seem to be hungry again, Vados, bring me my dinner. Master Kampa, you just had lunch 5 minutes ago. If you eat your supper now, you'll have nothing to eat tonight. Vados warned helplessly. It's hard to have such a greedy cat on the stall. Che, what an annoying guy. Kampa glared at Vados as if she had completely forgotten to go to planet Pahud. Master Kampa, the route has been determined, and it takes about 40 minutes to reach planet Pahud. Shall we start now? Vados asked helplessly again. Serving this guy is really tiring. Hey? 40 minutes. So long. I think it's better to forget it first. Let's go to the 7th universe first. It is more important to find the super wishing beads. After returning, we will destroy those 2 bold guys. Upon hearing that it would take 40 minutes, Kampa immediately changed his mind. Although I really want to destroy those 2 humans from the 7th universe, but after thinking about it, it is more important to find the super wishing beads first. If that Beerus guy wakes up, he will have a little trouble going to the 7th universe. Good Lord Kampa, the route has been replanned. Vados nodded, obviously used to Kampa's sudden change of mind. Planet Pahud, Videl has dealt with those universe invaders. It's pretty fast. Lin Mo looked at Videl and said. That is, how does it look like you? I even let it go. Videl pouted at Lin Mo and said proudly. Although they have been traveling in the 7th universe this year, their cultivation has not fallen behind. So just now she naturally felt that after the Big Bang, a breath survived. It's just a little mouse, it doesn't matter if you let it go or not. Lin Mo shrugged and said with a relaxed face. Frost's strength is at most D-level strength. In my own eyes, it is at best a little mouse, maybe not. Besides, I have no grievances with him, and the life and death of people in the 6th universe has nothing to do with me. Since he survived by luck, let him go. Thank you too for helping our planet drive away the invaders, I am really grateful. At this time, an old man with a strange appearance came forward and thanked Videl and Lin Mo. If the 2 of them hadn't acted out of righteousness, everyone on this planet would have been killed. It's okay, I like chivalry best. Videl said, waving at the old man. Besides, I haven't fought for a long time, and my hands are a little itchy. I just happened to encounter this kind of thing, so I naturally have to take care of it. System, lock the location of planet Shadera. Videl chatted happily with the old man, but Lin Mo asked silently directly in his mind. The purpose of coming to the 6th universe is nothing more than to accept apprentices and find the Dragon Ball. Finding the Dragon Ball can be delayed for now, because I don't have that special need for the Dragon Ball right now. So for the time being, you can go to the Shadera planet in the 6th universe to see Sion Gabe and the others here. Destination Shadera planet to lock. At the same time as the system's electronic synthesizer sounded, Lin Mo's mind had a clear location of the Shadera planet. Hey, let's go, we left a destination. Looking at the speculative Videl chatting with the old man, Lin Mo said directly. Oh? Then let's go. Videl nodded, although he still wanted to play, but Lin Mo's matter was obviously more important. Call out. In the next second, Lin Mo and Videl had disappeared on planet Pahud. Planet Shadera, the hometown of the 6th universe Sion. There is a big difference between the Sion of the 6th universe and the Sion of the 7th universe. The Sion of the 7th universe is violent by nature, mainly plundering creatures from other planets, and then selling planets for Frisia. But Sion of the 6th universe is peaceful by nature, and he is hired by people to fight bad guys and maintain peace in the universe. It can be said that the Sions on both sides are almost two extremes. AUT. After casting instant transmission, Lin Mo and Videl appeared on planet Shadera within 0.6 instants. This planet is so desolate. Videl looked around, and there were almost bare mountains, not comparable to the Pahud planet after being attacked just now. That's about it. Lin Mo looked at it and said. Because the Vegeta planet in the 7th universe is almost like this, with no grass growing, and buildings standing on the loess. I feel 4 relatively strong auras, let's go and have a look. Nearby, there are 4 relatively strong auras. If my expectations are not bad, Sion Gabe from the 6th universe should be inside. After all, this guy was the one who competed on behalf of the 6th universe and the 7th universe. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you are notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.